Well, hello, Life Church family. Welcome to the Life Church podcast. I know maybe we haven't had an episode come out in maybe a couple of weeks, and I'm so excited that we get to be the ones that are recording the Life Church podcast today. And if you don't know me, my name is Tito. I serve here at Life Church as the executive director of missions, and I'm so thankful that today I'm not doing this podcast by myself. I'm actually here joined with my most trusted colleague, with my beautiful wife, actually, the newest addition to the Life Church staff. And I'm so thankful that my wife is here. Samantha, why don't you greet and say hello?
I'm honored to be here. Hello, everyone. I am so excited. I get to speak with my husband, have a conversation with him, and over what we've been studying, what our life has been like. I'm excited to dive with you guys.
Yes, obviously, all of you know that we've been in this new uh, book study, Bible study. If you're at church on Sunday or the past couple of Sundays, you know that we've been talking about the book of Revelation. And we want to get into all that. We have everything ready for that. But before we do, I just really, and I think the people of Life Church kind of want to know, obviously, those that know, Pastor Samantha has come on staff. How does how does that make you feel? How are you transitioning through all of that? Obviously, I'm your husband, so I get to hear things that not everybody else does. But publicly, how would you want people to know this is how this season is going? How do you feel through it all? Let the people know.
Change is, there's a little bit of good and bad in change. And I feel like it's been so good that I'm almost like, when is there going to be bad? So, I mean, with my HEB, I was with HEB for 16 years. There is somebody that is taking my place, and she is absolutely perfect. And I feel like that's a God thing, that I get to transition out of something knowing that there's the perfect person in that spot. And then transitioning into Life Church and being involved in some of the meetings that I've gotten to be a part of
Right.
lately has been such an honor and a super big excitement. I'm
Yes.
super excited. I'm super, my expectations are just through the roof. I'm ready to like just help and bring
Yeah.
clarity where it is due. I'm executive pastor of ministries, and I mean that's a lot, but it's just been all good, all exciting,
Yeah.
all God paved the way. You can tell in all aspects,
Yeah.
basically. Yeah,
Yeah.
so I'm super excited.
Yeah, it's incredible. Obviously, Pastor Samantha, she's been working, obviously, already just, has just served at a high capacity here at Life Church for so long. Obviously, heavily involved with prayer team and leading life groups. You're leading a
Mhm.
prayer life group last night at the house. Shout out to those barbecue baked potatoes that I got when I came home. But just seeing God use you, it's really been incredible. And you're going to Nelson University because you're getting your bachelor's? Is it gonna be considered a bachelor's degree?
Yes,
Bachelor's degree in
church
church
leadership.
revitalization and
Uh,
church leadership.
yes.
So that's pretty incredible. So, yeah, so you've been busy, but also just to see how, you've been stewarding it all so well, and I think obviously that's why we are where we are today. It's nothing because Pastor Tito obviously made this happen so this is something that God has planned and designed for your life, and I'm thankful that you're my wife and I get to see it. So and now we get to do podcasts together. But also, I feel like we're doing the morning news. If you're watching this on YouTube, our table looks like a newsroom, and I feel like I'm about to bring the Life Church news. And maybe I am in a way. We're going to bring the news of like what we've been talking about
News
here
is not
at
news is not my favorite thing, but
right.
this kind of news,
Yes.
this is
Well, I
this is
know
my
I know the
favorite.
good news and the good news of the gospel. Come on, Ace fist pump me there. So, well, let's get into our conversation for today. Like I said, this is our first podcast for our book study of the Book of Revelation.
Mhm.
So I'm sure people are like, "Hey, what's going on? Why haven't they done a podcast about Revelation? Did the rapture happen just to the staff and they didn't do a podcast?" That was a joke. I don't know if rapture jokes are still relevant or not, but I had to slip one in there. But anyways, we've been talking about the book of Revelation, and I'd love to hear from you, obviously, because I know I've heard you talk about this before. But even our own pastors, Pastor Bo, Pastor Ben, talked about growing up and having this stigma of the book of Revelation, of kind of how it was something that maybe a lot of us growing up were afraid of, or we were raised to be afraid of because of movies and certain things like that. But what we want people to know is that the big idea, or what God's plan with the book of Revelation, is that it's not a book of fear or conspiracy, but it's a gift from God to give his people courage, to give them an understanding of how he's revealing things that he wants us to know, that he reveals Jesus' authority, and he reminds the church that no matter how dark things may seem, he will always reign and we will overcome through Jesus. So
Amen.
I want to hear from you. How was it growing up when it came to the book of Revelation? And then obviously just hearing these sermons about it, like how does it make you feel?
So when I was growing up, my grandfather, he was a pastor, and so, but he had a Spanish-speaking church, and I do not speak Spanish, fun fact. But we would read the Bible with my tias in the kitchen, all around the table. And it wasn't really like a study, it was just reading, but I do remember that we were not to read Revelation, but it was never told
Yeah.
exactly why. So I can't say. Maybe it was just a little too complicated. Maybe I was younger, so maybe they thought it was going to be a little too scary for children.
Right.
But anyways, I grew up. I don't remember in a church service growing up specifically talking about it, but then I did watch a movie. I don't know what movie. I know that he was a pilot. Either way, you've heard the movies. If you've seen one, maybe you know which one I'm talking about. And it didn't really scare me. It confused me. Watching something like that with, I'm not sure if they had like a ending where it's like, this is what we wanted you to get out of that, right? So yeah, it was just a movie I saw, and when it was said it was biblically based, I'm like, where was that at? Because I never read it before.
Yeah.
But this Bible study, and my husband knows, I love Bible studies. I love to study. I obviously, like he said, I'm going to Nelson University. So God has redeemed that part of my life where I kind of had to stop going to college for personal reasons. And so now I'm just in this time in my life where I'm not only going to college, but I'm thriving on a Sunday, really getting in deeper into the word where, again, it wasn't taught to me. So I'm nerding all out. I'm glad to know that there are other nerds on Sundays with me that got that book that it's sold out at Pasadena, the 2 books that we have available on this series. If you want to dig deeper into the study, we have the book Overcomer, and we have what Bo called it was a nerdy study book, but it's just a book that kind of is more of a guide more than just a regular literature.
Yeah, it just takes a deeper dive, verse by verse, and commentary on the book of Revelation. And so, we'll get some more of those in stock. So if you want those, you can get them.
But it definitely has been lots of courage lately as well in my life with just recent events, and again, being empowered by your understanding of what God is really telling you in Revelation. I am one who needs more courage, and I am definitely receiving that, and not just with God in the spirit, but again also the understanding of the victory that we get, how we do overcome.
Yes, definitely. So I think just in that sense of you just speaking from your upbringing to where you are now, just proves just how, although there might be things that maybe we didn't understand the full context of, or maybe it was just being protected of not getting a distorted view of what the book of Revelation is. So, we can honor and celebrate those that did that. But obviously I get so encouraged because I know in the context that I grew up in, and people that have heard me preach, heard me, share this story a few times, where I grew up and I felt like I always saw the televangelists on the infomercials selling stuff. And I was just like, I was always confused by and upset because I was trying to watch Cartoon Network or something, and it was always paving the way. And I'll never forget, these guys were mad, and they're yelling at the screen, and they're like, if you don't call this number right here, right now, you're not going to make the rapture. So buy this bottle of water to heal your kneecaps. And I was just like, well, I don't know if I want that. Maybe I don't want to get right. And it was really confusing
Mm-hmm.
to me. So it's just a breath of fresh air.
Yeah.
And obviously, this isn't the first time we've talked about Revelation or I've heard about Revelation. We were at a conference where you actually got to join me the last day. Last week, I was at a CAFO, CAFO conference, Christian Alliance for Orphans, and I actually was there with Mama Sheeny. Shout out Mama Sheeny, she's still here in town. And Marty
What's
McKnight
up,
spent a
Mama
couple
Sheeny?
days with us. And on the last day, you were able to go with me. And it just so happened that the last speaker, and I thought it was so incredible that so many people thought that it was over and they left and they end up missing, which might end up being the best part of the conference. But a gentleman who ended up preaching like Revelations chapter 4 and 5, and the perspective that he put really ties into what we've been talking about here at Life Church. Him bringing it in such a way where it gives me such clarity and confidence. Remember, that's the whole big idea about Revelation is I should have confidence to know that revelation is not a fear tactic. It's not something to make me feel like, oh, because I don't understand it fully, that I should become afraid. And this pastor, this speaker was talking in a sense of come up here, and he was talking about how in the heavenly realms where God's throne is, that God's presence demands 4 living creatures. And he's talking about how weird the creatures look and how crazy they look. But one thing that he pointed out that really encouraged me, and I think encouraged us both because we were sitting right next to each other, you wouldn't stop holding my hand and like trying to flirt with me. I was trying to pay attention. One thing that he said was that God's presence in the throne room, it demands 4 living creatures with wings and 6 wings, and all of the creature's body is covered in eyes, front and back. And so how convenient and how naive of us as humans, this is where I got convicted,
Mm-hmm.
where God's presence demands that these creatures covered in eyes completely, front, back, side to side, and all the wings. And you know their sole purpose in what they do in God's presence is cry out, holy, holy, holy. How naive, and really, this is where I get convicted, and how convenient as me, as a human with 2 eyes,
Yeah.
think I have it all figured out.
Yeah.
That I can see a situation and think like my 2 little eyes and my little brain can see everything that God is doing when God's very own presence demands creatures that their sole purpose is to cry out how holy he is, and they can completely see because they got a bunch of eyes. And then the guy used a joke and he was just talking about, why would I think about you little human with 2 eyes that you could see the perspective of God? If you could only see how God views you and your situation, it would change everything.
Oh,
And so just even that in the sense of revelation and bringing clarity, just that just brought so much comfort and clarity to me in this season of life.
And I think just what you're talking about conferences and just what you're putting into your spiritual life or your ears and stuff like that.
Yeah.
If your heart is open, God's going to show you, whether you're at a conference, whether you're talking to your friend, God's going to show up and it's going to all
Yes.
align together to where this understanding just kind of expands.
Yeah.
But the reason why I was holding your hand in
Mhm.
that moment too is because I talk about marriages, with two sets of eyes.
Yes.
It's always good, when if there's something going on in your life, I'm able to see sometimes the bigger picture when
Yes.
you're struggling to do so, and vice versa. So, blessed is the marriage with 2 sets of eyes, a perspective that can see, that can
Yeah.
pick up when you're fallen. But wow,
Good.
a character with eyes all around his body, his
Yeah.
wings, all of this
Yes.
to glorify God. And
Yes.
that's how many eyes it's going to take us, right?
Yeah.
But yes, when he was talking about that, he kind of talked about it as a thunderstorm. Like,
Mhm.
it was just, he was in the middle of a thunderstorm, and you actually kind of preached about it at Young Adults.
Yeah.
Shout out to anybody who was there at Young Adults this past or this
Last
recent
month.
time. But he was talking about being, in the bosom of Jesus
Yes.
at the table. And it was the same concept of that up in the heavenly realm. Let's go to the heavenly realms.
Yes.
Here on earth.
Right.
Let's go up to the heavenly realms. And when we get there and we see all these creatures, we're going to be right next to Jesus.
Yes.
And he has the key.
Yes.
He has the key to the seals, the
Yes.
book of life, and
Yes.
there's nothing that we need to worry about.
Yes, and that's what we talked about this Sunday was the seals, the trumpets,
Mhm.
and the witness. We started off this series talking about the apocalypse and this apocalyptic literature and things like that. And obviously, we got into the four horsemen, and so I want to hit on that in a little bit. But I loved how you talked about the seals because this past Sunday we were at Pasadena campus, and it was incredible. I mean, Pastor Bo preached, and obviously it was more of a Bible study type of message, but I mean, it was just really impactful. And I love this first point that Pastor Bo had pointed out that the powers of this world will shake, but God's people are sealed and
Yes.
secured. So I can look at that story as the seals and being fright because like, oh man, like there's these seals and I can really, or it's like making sure we understand that God's people, as God's people and followers of Christ, that we are sealed and secure in what God has called us to do or God is calling us to live out right now in this moment. So when you read that, like what comes to mind? That the powers of this world will shake, but God's people are sealed and secure. It's kind of what we're already hitting on that while chaos is going around. My emphasis at young adults was in the upper room at the Last Supper, there was chaos erupting in the room. Jesus was washing nasty feet. After that, Judas is plotting how he's going to betray him. Thomas is ready to go fight everybody. Peter is bashing. It's just a chaotic environment. And in the midst of it all, there's this one disciple, which he writes that he's the disciple whom Jesus loved. And like, I want to be that. If I'm reminded of anything, I want to be the disciple whom Jesus loved. And so in the midst of all the chaos, all the friction, everything that's fractured right now that's happening in life, I think the call for us to know if we're secure and sealed in God's love is what's our proximity to the Father? How close are we? Are we more close into gossip and getting caught up in the confusion of what's happening in the world? Are we trolling on social media? Or do I want to be found leaning into Jesus or being in the heavenly realms praying, going to that place where we have full access to? The Bible says that we can come to the throne room of grace boldly. And so I want to go boldly into the throne room of grace, but sometimes I get convicted because sometimes I want to go into the throne room and throw hands. You know what I'm saying? The throw room. I don't call it the throne room, but I don't want to do that. I want to be found in the throne room, but I know it's hard. But I also want to make sure that I'm doing that because I want to make sure I'm somebody that is reflecting God's goodness because that's where change ultimately happens. So
it's a perspective thing. And I think, we later podcasts had talked about a biblical worldview.
Yes.
And I think people kind of take it and turn it into different worldviews. And then the world is fragile. The world is fractured. The world is in pain and suffering right now. So, but when you have a biblical worldview, your perspective is even in the chaos, there is a rock, there is a foundation, there is someone that you've already won victory. Right. So lean there. Don't be around with the creatures and the thunderstorm. Be in his presence. And again, that's why this Bible study is so good because it gets an understanding so that you can feel more comfortable, more confident in his presence, knowing that he wasn't writing all these things in this perspective to scare you. He's writing it so that you can see you've already won. You're an overcomer. There is hope for you. Yes. There is victory for you. And I mean, but that is hard in the world, right? That is hard. You do have the four horsemen. You do have the crazy people at the Last Supper table. Yes. You have those are all very relatable. But again, it's just, where are you going to be? Die daily so that you can dig into what he has for you. And then there's just this transformation that has been happening. And again, all these podcasts up to this point are just, let's renew let us help you renew your mind. Yes. And maybe through a conversation with husband and wife, maybe through Ben and Bo talking about exactly how to read the Bible. Yes. All these things we are wanting and desiring you to meet him, not by, we just want to help you get there. Correct. We want you to meet him. And I think that's ultimately. Yeah.
And we also want people to know, like, we see you. And that's why we are doing everything that we can as a leadership team. Everybody behind the scenes are trying to do things like this so we can better equip you because we see you, we value you, and we want you to be able to grow into who it is that God's calling you to be in the midst of all the chaos. And that's where I get encouraged because, we can get so caught up because everybody does not like environments of chaos. I've said it before. If you don't believe me, all of the ladies or guys that cook or barbecue, we don't like cooking in chaotic kitchens. I don't like cooking if I can't find my pots and pans, and it really messes up whenever I'm trying to put the to-go food in a Tupperware and I can't find the right lid. Can I get a witness in the podcast room?
Oil.
Or you open up the fridge and there's a thing of butter. This shout out to my grandma, but instead you thought it was butter, but you opened it up and it was beans. Is anybody else? Can I get a witness? You know what I'm saying? One's in the chat if that's ever happened to you before. But we don't like chaos.
Yeah.
We are very specific. But here's what I know, and here's what I've realized is that God is not afraid of anything.
Mm-mm.
God is not
Yeah.
shocked by the chaos in the world today. God is not offended by the things that people are saying to him today. Our God is so comfortable in chaos.
Mm-hmm.
When the earth was without form and void, you know what that translates to? It was chaotic.
Mhm.
When the earth was without form and void, and there was no way to separate the land from the sea and the mountains from the ground. And you know what God does is he shows up in those moments, and he's the one who speaks, and everything has to settle the way that he's intended it to.
Mm-hmm.
The divine distinction, the divine creation, the way that God's always orchestrated things to be. We were kind of talking about it last night at your prayer group. But how does that make you feel, or what can you say to that for people? If somebody's on the other side of the screen right now, or listening to this on their way to pick up their kids, or they're on their way to work, or whatever the case may be, whatever the context is, and they're like, I hear you, I love all this stuff that we're doing, but it seems like the world is still so crazy. How can I subscribe to that thought process of, yes, I know God is not afraid in this season. God is not worried about anything like that. How can we equip people? What can they do to feel a little bit more confident in that? What's something that they can do?
I would just say, get comfortable. Feed yourself like I said, what we're trying to do here. There's been a lot of change at Life Church in general. I mean, these podcasts are for our members of Life Church, right? So
Yes.
there's been a lot of change, but you see the intentionality. I mean, that I get to be here. I'm honored to be in this room because there's been a change and an opportunity that's open. And all of that is going to lead to opportunities for you as well. But how are you going to know about those if you're not plugged in, if you're not staying in tune with God? And I mean, my life studies or my life groups are on prayer, and we've been really digging deep. And I just feel that prayer is just something.
Yes.
Yes, it's one thing to believe, right? That Revelation is a book about overcoming, about victory.
Yes.
It's another thing to meet with the person that is saying that on a personal level, and that is through prayer.
Yes.
But we all know, right, that we believe in the God, but we have to talk to him. We have to let it out.
Yes.
Our confusions, our frustrations, all the chaos that we're going through individually, and all the changes that we do believe good will come out of it, but we're in the middle of it.
Yes.
Keep going, persevere,
That's what
get comfortable. Get comfortable.
You're
You're gonna be here for a while.
Yeah.
Where you're on, if you're still breathing, still living,
Yes.
you're gonna be here for a while, and you have a purpose, and God's purpose for you is, gonna be in the chaos.
Yes.
It's gonna be in the thunderstorms.
Yeah.
It's gonna be around creatures.
And remember,
literally,
you're
and
seeing
some-
it from your perspective with two eyes.
Yeah.
And I'm just reminded from scripture and in the part of the sermon from Sunday that Pastor Bo preached about how John saw 144,000. And like we live in a day and time where there's people that actually believe 144,000 are going to go to heaven. And that if that's the case and the rapture happened, that's why we're here. But then I love so much so is this, like we won't keep reading or we won't keep believing. And we'll see that John then turns around, Revelation 7, verse 9. After this I looked, and there before me was a great multitude that no one could count from every nation, every tribe, people, and language, standing before the throne and before the Lamb. What a reminder that I don't have it all figured out, and I don't have to have it all figured out. But just as John looked, like almost like he turned and looked, that he saw the perspective from God. Like, so just know that God's interest for you is so much better. His ways, as high as the heavens are above your ways, the same as his thoughts. So just be encouraged to know that although it's chaotic and we are noticing, I'm not too naive to think, okay, there are problems happening in the world, or that it does seem like maybe the end is near. God's trumpet blasts are wake-up calls. They're not, even though I don't like it whenever sometimes your alarm clock goes off or real loud and you don't be turning it off. I'm thankful that God's trumpet wake-up call is not me, where it's something I'm going to get frustrated and upset. Like I hear God's trumpet, like it for me, it like right now, this is a perfect evidence of a trumpet call for everybody. And you're seeing that right now. People are flooding to churches. People are flooding to faith. I got encouraged yesterday at UHCL with just the amount of people that are coming and the questions that they're having. I'm mid devotion and somebody's raising their hand and like asking questions, and I'm okay with stopping to get off track to cater and serve to that one person. But Life Church, we want to encourage you with that maybe when you heard that on Sunday, it maybe didn't hit the same way. But God's trumpet blasts are wake-up calls to repent and trust in him. Not for us to run and be afraid, because we read in the scripture that even the rich and the kings of the world and the rulers are going to go run and hide in caves. But even running away from those caves is not going to keep you away. They said, they cry out, let the rocks fall on us, because we can't sustain the one who is coming. So for us as believers, for those that are followers of Christ, use these moments of chaos as a wake-up call, as, man, I get to do this.
And don't wait to the last minute.
Yeah.
Like, don't, you know, because it was also spoken about that judgment alone doesn't change hearts. So, you know, even though my alarm clock goes out, 3 times before I actually get up, it's not going to change the fact that it's a later time and I don't have enough time to get ready. But it's, again, same thing. It's the desire to be excited about the day, get up and really dig deep into like whatever your morning thing is, prayer or just getting ready. Don't wait till the last second. Don't hit those alarms. Don't hit that alarm we 3 times. On Sunday?
Lace up your boots.
Oh,
the kids were singing that. Yeah. But could it be that Christians have been hitting the snooze button for too long, and now it's time for us to stop hitting the snooze button, and it's time to get up, lace up your boots, put on your backpack. Like, I thought about Dora the Explorer. Shout out Pastor Nick. He sent me Dora the Explorer. But yeah, it's time to ride. Like, I got so pumped up when Samara came home from school, and she was like, Dad, I was singing that song all day at school. And I was like, yeah. So how'd your friends think about it? She's like, I don't know. I don't care. Like, I'm just singing it, but I'm just thankful that, like, maybe that's the season we're in right now. And I think that's what we're actually seeing worldwide, not just here in America, but maybe we've just been hitting the snooze button because we've just been so comfortable. And now God is graciously turned the alarm on a little bit louder, and maybe you're going to hit snooze. As we see, there's spikes, things happen, circumstances happen, the Charlie Kirk events, all these things will spike up, and then you'll slowly see it spike down. But can you be content through it all? Can you find a pace and a rhythm in your life to say, God, I know that you have the best interest for me, that God, I don't have to worry about if these situations or circumstances, because I know that you see the full perspective way better than I can. But man, what a privilege that during this time, I have the ability and the gift and the grace to be able to go and live my life, steward it well, tell people about your goodness, have a church community on Sunday. I mean, I love being at church on Sundays. It's one of my favorite things to do, because being in the room worshiping with everybody. But I mean, I was if Ace and Joseph would have ran back that song again, we're Line in the Sand, I was about to jump off the stage. I'm just going to go ahead and say it. Like, I was ready to mosh pit because I was just pumped up. I looked over and I told Marcus, like, if they play this one more time, I'm going to run through a wall. That's what we got to be ready to do. Not run through a physical wall, but, be ready, because this is the time that God's calling the church to advance his kingdom, and what an opportunity it is. And I see across the world, there's Christians being murdered for just believing in Jesus.
Yeah.
So how convenient do I have it? You went across the world a month ago. We went to the Philippines, and you kind of seen a difference, and it changes you, and it ruins you, and it's almost like, God, I want to do more, but I'm thankful that you bring balance to everything, and we keep the main thing the main thing. So
Bo kind of hit on it on Sunday too. Like he could throw a rock, and the church
Right.
is right there, and
Perfect.
that's not how it is in other places. So, man, what an opportunity to come on
Yes.
a Sunday night after you've had church all day. Thank God,
Yes.
and feel the Spirit and His presence like we did at our first Fresh Fire service.
Yes.
Man, you do not want to miss the next one.
No.
If you didn't get to go
Yeah.
to that one, you're not going to want to miss the next one. And I know everybody who was in that room was blessed that they're gonna they're waiting for that next one. And I
Yeah.
just again, you know, here in America, we can't wait. We can't hit that alarm
Yeah.
anymore. We
And in our context, we have a perfect opportunity to be able to do. I mean, like right now, like I'm just celebrating in my heart right now because of what we get to do.
yeah.
Like we get to do this. I'm standing on the other side of some cameras. Ace is here in the room. We have this studio so we can let people see us in a different type of setting more than just a Sunday.
Yeah.
And so like I'm just so thankful. I celebrate in my heart, and the fact that I'm doing it next to you, it's just great.
Oh, don't make me cry, honey.
Well, if you do, it's all right. Ace will cut it out. No, he won't. But yeah, so obviously what we're trying to get everyone from our Life Church family to realize is taking it and seeing it from the lens that God is always intended for us to see it. People are always going to say things. People always be peopling, is what I say.
Yeah.
The algorithms on Instagram are going to get crazy really quick. But man, I'll tell you what, God's word, the algorithm never changes. It's always for His people. And right now, it's the wake up call for the church to be the church. And we're living in a day and age where we're not physically persecuted. Maybe for a little bit longer, but I do know that this is the best time. But we haven't even scratched the surface of what all that God's going to do. And hopefully, you're seeing a glimpse of that with what we're doing today and what we're going to continue to do. I mean, being in our meeting we had earlier, just hearing everything that God is doing here, what a time to do it, for you to come on staff at the time that you're coming on staff with the world the way that God just is bringing clarity, and it's just really exciting. So
exciting.
but it just reminds me, God's word is sweet to receive. That's what it is.
So sweet.
It's so sweet to receive because like when I really think about how good God has been to us, for us, it's almost been 15 years that we've been a part of Life Church. And that's a long time.
It's a long time.
I know a couple dogs that lived to 15, you know? But just as sweet as it is, and I love this next point, and it was probably one of my favorite moments of Sunday whenever Pastor Bo was preaching, that as sweet as it is, because we receive it, John writes that it could be bitter to proclaim in a world because we understand that we're living in a world where we're not physically persecuted, but we know this world hates truth and spiritually persecuted because of what we stand for, because of what we believe. And so the cost of discipleship, it's going up a little bit. So I don't know if you want to speak it or hit on that point.
Well, and we started talking about courage when we first started chatting, and this is where that comes in. When you understand truth and have that biblical worldview, you can, without a doubt, give what's so sweet to you to someone else. And if they don't receive it, because they have a different worldview or truth is just not to their lips, you still have that courage. We were talking yesterday about co-suffering, the word empathize. It's not just to sympathize, but it's to take on those feelings of others too. And that's why we're doing it. It's the truth is so sweet. And so when we do share it, yes, it does take courage to do so. But the more that you understand it and the more that you have this worldview, you're going to do it anyways because you're co-suffering with your fellow sinner. I mean, we all sin. And so you want to take that on. That's what ministry is. That's what we're getting to do. But you want to take that on, and you want to try as best as you can to give them some of the sweet truth, the Bible, the little scroll.
That's it, little scroll.
The little
That's
scroll.
my new rap name, by the way. So I definitely agree, and I mean, I just don't know if how you feel about it, but obviously, like, we're now of basically a full vocational ministry family. as of like 2 days ago or
Mhm.
whenever your first official day was. So now for me, when I read that, I read it a little bit hesitantly, maybe because I'm like, yes, it's sweet, but also now I'm like, oh snap, like what did I do? Or like, I try not to think like a fearful way, but also
Yeah.
we're bringing our kids up in a
Oh, yeah.
completely different context now. So it is sweet. It's so sweet to my kids. Obviously Samara the other night was just like, "Oh, we're gonna pray for them, Daddy." Like they just know they're coming home talking about I was singing that song, that worship song all day at school. But like, am I doing everything that I need to do as a father? Are we doing everything that we need to do as parents to make sure that our kids are ready? Because like as sweet it is to me, our kids are on the front line
Mhm.
where it's gonna be even more bitter for them because they don't understand the full complexity of everything. They're putting their trust and hope in us that we're stewarding their spiritual lives well and everything like that. But for me now, it's like, okay, we're all in. Like, our family is like we're full sending in this time. Like everything that we've ever thought or planned, like we're going all in with our family.
And maybe I'm just caught up in this biblical worldview, and
Mhm.
I just have this really high perspective. You can call it optimistic if you would like, but I,
No, you got high
I,
expectation.
I'm encouraged.
Yes.
My children get to be around amazing people that
Yes.
love them and teach them in their own ways by walking
Yes.
with Jesus. We have a great Life Kids ministry that truly digs into the word with us.
Yes.
So they're learning on a level that they can learn while I learn on a level that I can learn.
Yeah.
And it's just a blessing. And yes, obviously we're now implemented, and that can come with more attacks. I do understand that. But I have this perspective, and again, and it wasn't always this way. Okay. I'm just gonna, no, it was not always this way. When fear comes, like when people get attacked for speaking the truth,
Yes.
as did recently, I had to go. I had to pray, and I had to pray for my husband as he goes out to speaking truth as well. But it's just confirmation that this is the purpose that I'm living in. I'm living in my purpose. My family gets to be a part of this purpose. It's just, again, call it optimistic, but or just call it a deep rooted, because 15 years is a long time. I've worked this spiritual muscle that knows that it is chaotic. Parenting is hard. Being a wife in a world that has a distorted view of marriage, every
Yeah.
corner I turn, people are just surprised by our marriage, and I'm just like,
Yeah.
what? All of this stuff, and I just know now, and continue to learn.
Yeah.
Continue to learn, because we're not done, right? Like
Never.
we're gonna be attacked. But I continue to learn that those attacks are confirmation that I'm moving in the right direction.
Right.
It's being in the thunderstorms with Jesus, knowing that they can't touch me.
Yeah.
That, and if they do, in the way
It
that
makes a
we
lot
have
more
seen,
sense.
I'm just gonna meet him sooner.
The older I get, the more I realize why the psalmist wrote that he prepares a table for me in the presence of my enemies.
Mhm.
Not in the presence of people that agree with me, people that value and see the things that God is doing. He prepares a table for me in the presence of people that are the ops, that oppose what it is that I stand for
Yeah.
and what I do. But here's the thing. He's prepared that table.
Yes. Thank you,
And
Jesus.
I want to make sure that I steward the table, that I'm making sure that I give direct contact at the table to Jesus, who's sitting at the table, and you're sitting there, my kids are sitting there, and all of our favorite stuff are at the table. And the moment that I take my eyes off of Jesus and I put my eyes on the storm or the chaos, I'm missing out on what he's doing, but he's prepared it in the presence of my enemies. I don't feel like I have a lot of ops until I start realizing how much I love Jesus. And that's when I start realizing that the world that we live in, it is bittersweet.
Yeah.
Because the people that I love and the people that I care for,
Mm.
because I stand for something, I'm immediately put in a box The same thing happened to Jesus, and obviously we know how that ended. But I know that the cost is just gone up a little bit, and I'm excited now that there's no telling what's going to happen with obviously the context that we're living in now. So it's new, it's different, it's a little bit different. When I came on staff, churches were closing. You're coming on staff, churches are exploding. Like, God's doing something and we get to do this. And I think as long as we know, like, he's prepared this table in the presence of our enemies, like, that's how the setup is. But I have to always make sure that my eyes are on him, and that, Jesus takes naps during storms because that's how comfortable he is during those moments.
Mhm.
And so I want to be somebody that takes naps on boats. So whenever it looks like everything's chaotic, I want to make sure that people can see the table that he's prepared for us, and that I'm not getting caught up in it. And because it's so sweet, and it's a bitter time where if you are tasting the word of God and you are going out and you're speaking and doing all these things, man, I can go my whole life trying to please people and displease God in the process. Or I can go my whole life trying to please God, and I'm probably going to have some enemies. I'm going to be in the presence of my enemy. Like, that's just what happens. That's
Yeah.
just part of the territory. But I'm thankful that I know that my kids genuinely love God. I mean, it's just incredible. So those are
And they
always
still have a journey.
Yes, 100%.
And
Ivy wants to play
they
keys.
have their
Samara
own
wants to lead worship.
revelations that they will discover. Like, this has all been a revelation of revelation. And with this past sermon, I did think about a Facebook post I did post, and it kind of just, all these points went all through them. And the revelation sometimes, again, and change, you will see good and bad, but you have to lean more on Jesus. You have to lean more on the good. You have to believe that you are an overcomer. Like, you are going to overcome this, and it's not. I like to, as far as the Facebook post too. We're dealing spiritually. We're fighting spiritual wars.
Yes.
So these people that don't understand truth, that's because there's something attached to them that doesn't want them to understand truth.
Right.
And so we need to, again, pray that there is some kind of revelation in their personal life that would come to the understanding of truth. And I think, that's literally what this Bible study, has been about. Well,
I love this last point from Sunday, and it was just something that I think really got me pumped up to go to church Sunday night, was that the church's witness may look weak, but Christ's kingdom will stand forever. Like don't get it twisted. Like, never take my kindness as weakness.
Yeah.
Like, I love the Lord, and I've been on this journey for quite a while, and I've always felt like people think the church is weak, but
we don't tolerate that stuff.
Bo
hit a little bit on toleration of things, and I actually spoke about it a little bit last night at my life group. But tolerating doesn't mean that it's hatred. And it's not love. But we're not going to tolerate some things in my household, right?
Correct.
Or we're not going to tolerate, but we are going to show God's grace.
Correct.
As we've been given it. We will show God's grace.
Yes.
But I think that's where the church. Again, we can throw a rock. It might not seem that we look weak here when there is a church on every corner.
Right.
But when you go out personally, like when you are the church going out into the world with all the chaos.
Yeah.
No, we're not. We're not.
We're not.
We're ready.
And size does not matter.
Exactly.
Like, to the church that has 18 people, and you're there every Sunday, and you're faithful, and you're stewarding it well, like, you're not weak.
Yeah.
Like, you're strong. Like, you are there on purpose, and you are there serving the community. Remember when we went to, like, Portland a long time ago? We went to this church to visit, and, like, immediately it was just seeing, like, man, God's moving here.
Yeah.
Then we go worship in the Philippines with all of Ima's kids, and we're like, oh, the Lord is winning over here. So, like, as weak as people may think the church really is, in reality, is like the church is so strong. And the crazy,
Mhm.
scary thing is we haven't even scratched the surface of how strong that God wants us to be, because I don't think we're at the point to where the gates of hell won't prevail against it. Like the gates of hell are scared of the possibility of what the church can be. So I get excited to know that, yeah, what you think what we're doing, it's just not important, or you think because the way that we love those that persecute us, or we pray for our enemies, that makes us weak. But in reality, that's a fruit of the Spirit. And
Yeah.
if you carry and possess the fruit of the Spirit, that's exactly
I
someone that's standing for God, and that's going to be able to not have to force to take a knee when Christ returns.
Yeah.
Every knee will bow, every tongue will confess. I'm going to do it celebrating, knowing like I'm thankful that I know I live my life submitted to Christ.
Yeah.
And it's not going to be a forceful, every knee's going to bow. And I get to hear, well done, thy good and thy faithful servant. Like I've served, like it's been hard. I have not been the best reflection, but you could be faithful and you can continue. And as you do that, we rise up other people to do the same thing. And that's where I believe the gates of hell get scared.
Yeah. And I think, again, spiritual and worldview, it's a perspective. And the fruits of the Spirit are perfect, because kindness is not weakness.
No.
No, it's not.
Unkindness is weakness.
Gentleness is not weakness.
Unkindness is weak.
Yeah.
If I see somebody who's just really unkind, it really just shows me how weak they are,
Yeah.
because they need, there's a void they're trying to fill, and they can't fill it with being mean. It's only the fruit of the Spirit that's going to allow it to go in there and birth something.
Yeah.
So
Anger is a weakness.
correct.
But self-control
There it is.
is a fruit of the Spirit.
Through the Spirit.
And I think, just the fruits of the Spirit is a perfect depiction of the we're not weak,
I love it.
but it may look weak to the world, of course.
Yeah.
That's what the enemy wants wants this world to see as strengths, is anger and resentment and rich.
The two eyes.
Yeah.
They're trying to see from the two-eye perspective. But somewhere in the heavenly realms, we serve a God that demands creatures full of eyes all over the place, crying out, holy, holy, holy. And they see from a perspective of what God sees and what he demands. And the older I get, the more I realize I do not know anything. But the one thing that I do know is that I'm submitted and I've dedicated everything to Jesus. Like, if there's anything that I get right in life and pass to my kids, is that daddy doesn't have all the answers, mommy doesn't have all the answers, Jesus has all the answers.
I had to have a conversation with him on Sunday. It was a great Sunday, full Sunday for some kids, right?
Yes.
So they were hesitant, to go to Life Kids, knowing that we would come. But hey, they went and they enjoyed themselves. They were so excited to go to the pajama party that on Sunday night. And I had to tell them, like, hey, I don't get to take you to heaven with me.
For real.
But
that was a crazy car ride home.
Here's what heaven looks like.
Yeah.
Right here. It doesn't look like what you see every day. It doesn't look like what your friends think are cool and what's not cool. It definitely looks different. That's hard to teach to kids. That are learning and adjusting. But I would
think that it's hard, not hard, because like they know how to do everything on Roblox and build everything on Minecraft. So
they're smart kids.
They ought to know, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. So,
but I think like you said, if our life shows excitement, joy, all the fruits of the Spirit, all these things, especially when we're in the house of the Lord, when we're closest to Jesus, then there you go.
I told Ivy, or you told him, he's like, hey, you want to go to heaven, right? And he's like, yeah, I want to go. So I was like, well, you better call that 1-800 number on the bottom of your screen right now. Just kidding. I love my kids. I love you. I love our church, and I love our pastor. I love our bishop. Man, what an awesome opportunity that we get to have to serve alongside some incredible people. And don't miss out this Sunday. This Sunday, we're going to be talking about the woman and the dragon. So you're not going to want to miss that. We're going to continue this Revelation book study. Bible study. Y'all put in the comments, if you're watching on YouTube, put in the comments what's been your favorite part about this series, what's been your favorite part about today's podcast, or maybe what are some, other conversations or things that you want us to kind of hit on and talk about. This is our service to you. We are here to serve, not to be served. We are here to serve you. We love you. And man, we're so thankful. Thank you today. First podcast together.
You lead so well,
I
honey.
try my best.
Not just in our home, not,
Yeah.
but you lead so well everywhere
Thanks.
you
I
go.
appreciate
And
it.
so this
Yeah.
was easy. This is a piece of cake next to you.
Man, we get to just be ourselves.
Yeah.
And all right,
Oh
let's go.
gosh, thank you so much,
Yes.
Jesus, that I don't have the pressure of being somebody else.
Thank you. I don't know where I'd be if I had to be somebody else. I tried to be a long time. It didn't work.
Mm.
But yeah, so we're getting ready to go pick up our kids
Yeah.
from school. But we thank all of you
Mm.
for spending time with us. I'm not sure how long we've gone, but can you tell them about the women's conference that's coming up? Isn't that coming up very soon?
That is coming up on the 17th
Women on
and
the
the
other side.
18th.
Go register.
Registration, I think, ends. Oh, I don't know when
On
this
the
podcast
5th
is
or
going to be,
something.
but yes.
Yeah.
I will be getting to speak on Saturday,
Yes.
and Danielle Sui will get to be speaking on Friday,
Yes.
and we'll have a great panel. Anyways, just be there.
Yeah.
I'm excited to see women. I'm excited for a girls' hangout, honestly.
Yeah.
But yes, be there.
There's already over
There's-
105 women registered, so I think I can get to 200 though.
Really?
I think you can.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm excited,
Yes.
and I'm hope to see you there.
Yes.
I do hope to see you there.
Hey, we love y'all so much, Life Church. Y'all have an incredible day, and until next time, we'll see you later.